Chapter 7: Transforming the Inner Critic. Reclaiming your inner dialogue. What we say to ourselves is often far more brutal than anything we would ever say to someone else. The inner critic is that persistent voice in your mind that shames, blames, judges, and devalues. It thrives on comparison, perfectionism, and fear. While it may masquerade as a motivator, its true effect is spiritual erosion. Left unchecked, it damages our self-worth, relationships, and connection to the divine. To walk the path of conscious speech, we must learn not only to speak kindly to others, but to speak compassionately within. The inner critic, origins and patterns. The inner critic is not your true voice. It is an accumulation of childhood messages: you're not good enough. Cultural programming: you must look a certain way. Fear-based beliefs: if I fail, I'll be rejected. Repressed pain: why do I always mess things up? This voice often arises unconsciously. It sounds familiar, even rational, because it's been repeated for so long. But familiarity is not truth. Just because a thought is loud does not mean it is wise. The language of self-harm. Most people engage in some form of self-destructive speech. It may sound like, "I'm such an idiot. I'll never be good enough. Why even try? No one really cares about me. Everything I say is wrong." Even said silently, these phrases shape your nervous system, emotional life, and spiritual clarity. The more we repeat these thoughts, the more they solidify as beliefs, and beliefs become identity. You are not your thoughts, especially not your self-critical ones. Why the inner critic is so persuasive? The inner critic usually claims to be helping. It says, "I'm just keeping you grounded. You'll be safe if you don't get your hopes up. If you don't push yourself, you'll fail." But fear is not wisdom. Shame is not humility. Doubt is not discernment. These inner voices try to protect you from rejection, but they end up creating rejection from within. Rewriting your inner dialogue. The goal is not to fight the inner critic, but to disempower it, and gently replace it with the voice of the soul. Here's how. Step 1: Awareness. Start noticing your self-talk. Keep a journal for a few days. Write down the critical phrases you hear. Recognize their patterns and triggers. Step 2: Name the critic. Give it a name. This separates it from your true self. Examples: the judge, the perfectionist, the worrier. Now, when it speaks, say, "Ah, that's the judge again." Step 3: Dialogue with it. Ask the critic, "What are you trying to protect me from? Is this voice helping or hurting me? What would love say instead?" This practice brings curiosity where once there was self-rejection. Step 4: Replace and rewire. For each negative phrase, create an affirming truth. Critic: you always mess things up. Truth: I'm allowed to grow. Mistakes help me learn. Critic: nobody really likes you. Truth: I am lovable and worthy of connection. Repeat these new truths daily. Speak them aloud. Write them down. Say them into a mirror. This is not denial, this is spiritual reparenting. The power of self-blessing. In most traditions, blessings are spoken by elders, priests, or spiritual teachers. But the truth is, you can bless yourself, and you must. Try saying, "I forgive myself. I bless my journey. I release what no longer serves me. I am a child of the divine." Self-blessing is not arrogance. It is returning to your soul's original voice, the one that speaks with mercy, clarity, and grace. Silencing the inner critic through stillness. The inner critic grows loud when the mind is chaotic. But in stillness, it weakens. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for transforming internal speech. In silence, you can observe the critic without attaching to it. Disidentify from thought patterns. Discover the voice underneath, the voice of wisdom. Over time, silence teaches you to listen more deeply to your soul than to your fears. How self-talk shapes outer speech. Whatever dominates your inner world will shape your outer communication. If your inner voice is full of criticism, you will speak with judgment. If your inner voice is laced with fear, your speech will be anxious. If your inner voice is calm, kind, and true, your speech will reflect love. Changing your self-talk is not just a personal act, it is a service to the world. Practice inner speech alchemy. Each morning, say out loud, 1. One thing you forgive yourself for. 2. One thing you are grateful to yourself for. 3. One blessing for the day. Example. I forgive myself for yesterday's impatience. I'm grateful for my resilience. May I bring peace into every conversation today. This simple practice rewires the inner voice, day by day. Closing reflection. The voice in your head is not your enemy. It's a wounded messenger, repeating what it was taught. You can teach it something new. You can speak to yourself with love. You can reclaim your inner dialogue as a path to healing. Because how you speak to yourself becomes how you live. Mantra for Chapter 7. I speak to myself with love, clarity, and compassion. My inner voice is my ally. Chapter 8. The Sacred Pause. Mastering response over reaction. In moments of stress, anger, or fear, the first thing we tend to lose is our awareness. We react instead of respond. We speak impulsively instead of consciously. But between stimulus and speech, there exists a sacred pause, a space where wisdom can enter, and where our words can be guided by clarity rather than emotion. This chapter explores how pausing before we speak can transform not only our conversations, but our karma, our health, and the course of our lives. The power of the pause. The pause is simple, but not easy. It's a split second of mindfulness, a breath, a conscious decision to refrain from saying the first thing that comes to mind. Why is it powerful? It interrupts negative momentum. It gives the nervous system time to settle. It invites reflection instead of reaction. It creates the space for compassion. The pause is where the soul catches up with the moment. Reaction versus response. Let's define the two. Reaction is automatic, emotional, often rooted in ego and conditioning. Response is deliberate, thoughtful, and aligned with higher values. Think of someone cutting you off in traffic. A reaction might be to yell, swear, or let your anger spill over for hours. A response might be to breathe, observe your irritation, and let it pass without creating further harm, inside or outside. The difference between the two is not about what happens around you, but what you choose within. Why we react. The biology of speech impulse. The brain is wired for survival. When we feel threatened, even emotionally, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, kicks in. Blood flows away from the rational part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and into the fight-or-flight system. That's why it's so easy to say hurtful things when we're angry, and so hard to take them back later. The sacred pause helps reroute this process. Even a 3 to 10 second pause can help return blood flow to the reasoning center of the brain, restoring clarity and choice. Practicing the pause, tools and techniques. Here are some techniques to cultivate the sacred pause in daily life. 1. Count to 10. Classic advice, and effective. In moments of tension, silently count to 10 before responding. If 10 is too long, even 3 can help. 2. Anchor in the body. Bring awareness to physical sensations. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath. Observe your heartbeat. This grounds you in the present moment. 3. Ask, what's the wisest thing I could say right now? This question shifts your focus from ego to essence. It invites speech that uplifts rather than defends. 4. Use silence as a response. Silence itself can be a powerful answer, especially when words may escalate tension. You don't need to fill every gap. Sometimes, silence speaks loudest. Pausing in conflict, real-world application. In emotionally charged conversations. Practice mirroring. Repeat what you heard before responding. Say, let me think about that before I respond. Breathe consciously. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Often, the need to win a conversation disappears the moment we pause. Instead of reacting from pain, we begin responding from peace. The karma of immediate speech. Angry words harm relationships. Hasty decisions bring regret. Emotional outbursts leave deep wounds. Unconscious speech, especially under pressure, often carries heavy karmic weight. The pause creates a buffer zone between karma and consciousness. It gives you the chance to act from the soul, not the shadow. Spiritual maturity is measured not by how quickly you speak, but by how wisely. The morning practice of pausing. Start each day with stillness, even for 5 minutes. Sit in silence. Feel your breath. Watch your thoughts without chasing them. This practice conditions the mind to create space. And that space becomes a pause you can access throughout the day, even in heated conversations. Over time, you'll notice less impulsive speech, fewer regrets, deeper presence, clearer communication. The pause becomes your inner sanctuary. Reflection. What would my higher self say? When you feel triggered, ask, what would love say? What would my highest self do? If I were calm, what would I choose? These questions are powerful. They immediately connect you to your values, and disconnect you from egoic reactivity. The sacred pause is not suppression. It's wisdom. Closing reflection. To pause before speaking is to honor the sacredness of your words. It is to say, I choose awareness over habit, love over ego, truth over impulse. The pause does not weaken your voice, it empowers it. And with time, it becomes a natural rhythm, a quiet ally in every conversation. Mantra for Chapter 8. In stillness, I find my voice. In pause, I find my power.